Hi, folks. Welcome back. I hope you're all doing well. Law is one of the highest stakes domains in which AI could be applied. And this paper, which is only from a week ago, looks at how the use of AI tools for legal tasks actually performs. One reason this paper is interesting is that all the authors here are actually from the University of Minnesota Law School. So they're not computer scientists or ML or AI engineers. They're actually domain specialists. And not to bury the lead, the final verdict was that using AI for legal tasks leads to some very significant gains in both the speed with which lawyers can complete tasks as well as the quality of the final output. And they also note how some previous studies had only noticed limited gains, whereas here, now using the latest models like O1 Preview, they notice much more significant gains. So they used two main tools. One is Vincent AI, which is a tool specifically geared for lawyers. And it basically is grounded on a lot of legal texts and case law. So Vincent is basically doing RAG over a large corpus of legal documents. But it uses standard LLMs like GPT-4 and GPT-4o. The other tool they used was a reasoning model, the much more recent O1 Preview reasoning model from OpenAI. But the big difference is that the use of O1 Preview, unlike Vincent, was not grounded on a corpus of legal documents. So they were only using the world knowledge and reasoning capabilities of O1 Preview. They tested these tools on 6 very common legal tasks like analyzing complaints, drafting motions, and so on. And to cut through the chase, they found statistically significant and meaningful improvements in the overall quality of the work. And this was reflected in clarity, organization, and professionalism of the output. O1 Preview, not surprisingly, being a reasoning model, also improved the logic and nuance of the legal arguments. And this table shows the improvement in quality across 6 common legal tasks for both of these tools. And you can see how for 4 out of these 6 tasks, they see substantial improvements in quality for a pretty decent N count, plus 15%, plus 23%, plus 28%. So that's a pretty noticeable bump. All right, let's talk about hallucinations because, of course, when you're doing legal work, you do not want any hallucinations at all. So they measured the rate of hallucinations and they saw more with O1 Preview, not surprisingly, than with Vincent. And the reason that's not surprising is that Vincent is actually grounded in a large corpus of legal documents, whereas O1 Preview is only using world knowledge. But more importantly, what you'll see in this graph is that the rate of hallucination by Vincent is lower than the rate of hallucination or errors, in other words, by humans that were not using AI. So already well-grounded AI has a lower error rate than professional lawyers. Next, they measured speed, which is how quickly tasks were done. And here also they noticed pretty substantial gains from 14 to 37% for Vincent and 12 to 28% for O1 Preview. And finally, they did an eval of the quality of the work. This was a qualitative review. And I'll just read this out because this is such flowery praise for these tools. Produced writing that was easier to read and more polished. The sentences were more concise, their paragraphs flowed more smoothly, and their overall structure presented information in a more coherent and user-friendly manner, were largely free of typos and other distracting errors. So that's pretty high praise coming from lawyers for the quality of the final output produced by these AI tools. The other interesting thing to note is the variance in quality. As they note here, the lawyers who had access to AI produced consistently high quality work, whereas the people who were not using AI had much more of a spread. Their quality could be pretty low or it could be pretty high. And this is a nice analogy they're using here. It was as if students with AI were playing with bumpers built into the gutters. This is a bowling analogy. Now, one interesting thing here is, and this has been noticed in several other studies of AI assisted work as well. O1 Preview helps lower skilled workers much more than higher skilled ones. And for very senior high skilled people, it doesn't hurt, but it brings up the floor of junior people. And overall, this is a great vindication of RAG or grounding LLMs in general, and of this general principle that when you're trying to apply LLMs to a specific domain, the grounding is really important, which is why Vincent had a lower hallucination rate than humans themselves. And O1 Preview, because it was ungrounded, resulted in a slightly higher hallucination rate. So that was a quick look at a paper that measures the impact of AI tools in real world legal tasks by lawyers, empirically notices some pretty substantial gains. So, this is a good reminder of how these tools are getting better, how their application is leading to some pretty significant gains in real world tasks. I hope you enjoyed that. If you like content like this, consider subscribing, like the video, and I will see you all next time. Thank you very much.